how, first of all, shut a cock out, folks. How cool is it to have any bass you want in the world and out of the world, across the sea, and in another city, or anywhere you want it? Look, how cool is it for you to have any bass that you can imagine in your hands? But then you get the bass and you realize that bass don't fit me. Why? So you have to think. Here's my concept of why a certain bass don't fit you. Stay with me, I'm gonna show you. Well, first of all, it has nothing to do with the bass. Nothing to do with the bass at all. A lot of times it's the configuration of the bass and the amp. All right? The bass and the amp talks differently to each other. So that can make you go like, I wanted this bass for years and I got it. It don't feel right, don't sound right. Or it could be the head and the cab. Or head and this cab. They're not matching up with what the bass talks like. So you're thinking, what is he saying? Okay. Let's do this right. Okay. So, it's like a car. When you have a certain car in your family, you've been driving this car for 40 years, and all of a sudden, you see somebody else with another car that you really always liked, but never had the opportunity to get it, but now you have the funds to go get it. You get the car, and you try to figure out why it doesn't fit me. I don't know. I thought it would be me, but you done spent all this money to get it, and now you got it, and it don't fit you. That's kind of like what this is all about. All right, it has nothing to do with the bass. It does what it's supposed to do. But you, you and your ear doesn't hear what this really sounds like. You heard it on the video and you go, man, that cat is ripping that bass apart. I gotta go get one of those. But you didn't put in concept that this bass and the guy who was playing it has been playing and been with each other for years. So they know each other, right? Not only that, he has came to the conclusion, I said came. He has came to the conclusion. He has come to the conclusion that this head and that cab works for him to make this bass sound amazing. But not this head, which is on the bottom, which is a GK MB 500, and this cab doesn't work good for this bass. But see, all that is in a concept that you haven't took a second thought to. So you've been playing a Fender Jazz all your life. All of a sudden you jump out and get another jazz bass because everybody says that jazz bass is all of that. What you did take in conclusion, I said conclusion. What you did take in conclusion is that jazz bass has a smaller neck, has a thinner neck. The woods are different. The electronics are different. The tuning keys and the bridge are different from your bass. And the strings. The strings are completely different. So when you get it, it has nothing of what your bass has on your original bass. So it's going to sound very bright, brittle, very aggressive, very this and very that. But then you put your hands on it for the second time after you got it, and it starts feeling funny. All this because I didn't take the time to go to a place that has this bass that I always wanted and play it before I purchased it offline. I went on another guy's video. He was killing it, and so I went and got it because he was killing it. I didn't try it out first. And the guy has nothing to do with you making a bad purchase. He's playing what's good for him, right? He's also telling you exactly the pros and the cons. You didn't hear the pros and the cons. What you heard was that joint is killing. Now you have a bass that is not like the original bass that you have that's been with you for 250,000 plus 11 years and it's been your right hand man. You don't put that down because you think that's going to take its place. That's not always the case. What you want to do is, and here's a suggestion. When you get the bass of your life, when you get it, first thing you need to do is basically set your strings on it. Right? The strings you've been playing for years and years and years. Right? You have to figure out what gauge of strings works better on your new bass. It may take a lighter gauge. It may take a heavier gauge. It's still your, so whether your strings are D'Andarios or Pure Blues or SITs or Riverheads, or I don't care, what are they? Whatever they are, you have to find out what matches this bass, this new bass you got. Then the second thing you got to do, you got to get it set up to where your normal bass is. So it'll play almost like your normal bass, all right? You got to get that right. You got to get the intonation checked and all this stuff like that. Third thing is, you have to sit down and learn the bass. You have different pickups, and you have different woods. And your bass may be revoiced different. Oh, there we go. What is he talking about, revoiced different? Revoiced different means, for me, is that basically your preamp talks differently against your pickups, right? Every preamp and every pickup don't go together. We haven't got to that point yet of understanding they don't go together. They don't go together. Every pickup and every preamp don't go together. So you have to make sure that that preamp brings the brittle, not the brittle is not what I want. Bring the most elegance out of that pickup, and you got to make sure that pickup bring the most elegance out of that preamp. So they have to work together. Next thing is the bridge. Now, some bridges are very light, aluminum. Some are brass, some are steel. Now, you have to make sure that your bridge and your tuners kind of fit together. You got a brass bridge, but you got aluminum tuners. How's that working out? Or maybe you got a brass nut up here. That's three different things that you have to come to the conclusion of, do they work good together? You got to make sure all that's coming together correctly. All right? Last thing but not least, no, it ain't the last thing. All right, so once you get your bass situated and you got your strings on it that you want, you got to sit up like you want, you're making sure you understand the preamp and the pickup, how they work together with the woods. You got to do that. Once you get all that concept down packed, now you got to go to your output. What do you mean your output? Well, you got to make sure whatever voice you got coming out of that bass is coming out of this cab. It's going into that head and speaking your voice out of your cab, which means that you got to use the regular cab you've been using. Now, once you got a concept of your bass, your preamp, and your pickups, and your tuning keys, and your bridge, and your wood concept, you got to look at your cable too. All right, you got to make sure, do I need to change my cable? Because that may reverse my signal and throws me a different signal, so I got a whole different concept going on. You're like, man, there's too much stuff happening, bro. I ain't even thinking about all this stuff. Yeah, you got to. When you buy something new away from what you've been having for 40, 30, 40 years, you have to look at a whole new different thing. All right? You have to come to the conclusion. I said conclusion that you got something different in your hands. Now, You cannot buy your brand new bass and take it out that same night. Why? Because it's new and you don't know it. Look, you like it a whole lot, but you don't know it. And because you don't know it, you're like, I'm bumming out tonight. So what's making me sound like I'm sounding crazy? Well, a whole lot of things. Now, you have to get your voice of your bass in the ears of the voice of your band that you normally play with. They have to have that voice that they've been used to. If you change the voice of the band that you play with, they start changing things around. You're like, nah, I've been playing these cats for 50 years, man. Yeah, you brought a new bass in that sounds completely different from your girl, your normal girl. So you have to actually take the time, bring that bass in rehearsal a couple times so they can actually hear it, all right? And ease it into them. You can't just jump right in and on them because that bass sounds different, makes them play different. Oh, I knew that all the time. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. That's why a lot of kids bring a different kind of bass all the time. They bring a different kind of bass. If you don't know your bass that you bring in, the new bass, to even make it halfway sound like what you normally play, you're gonna change the vibe of your whole band. And a lot of people don't think about that. Drummers will hear it before anybody else will. Well, not really, but the drummer's like, yeah, your bottom is different. Yeah, your bottom's different. Oh, it sounds good up top though, man, but your bottom is different. The next thing is the piano player. He's gonna be the next cat. You be like, you be playing, boom, 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 and then he gonna say, hey man, it's got a lot of good top end, but your bottom is different. Now you got to figure out a way. There's two people already told you, two main people that already told you your bottom is different. So you got to you got to find a way to put your bottom back where it was, but have the excellency. I'm gonna use that word to death. The excellency of cleanliness above what you had already. Then comes your horn player and your guitar player. The guitar player, if you if you too way bright, he's gonna notice. He's like, yeah, it's cool, man, but you up in my range. And you don't supposed to be in his range. You're supposed to be down here. But you're supposed to be clean, even if you're down here. Then your horn players. They gotta hear that subtleness of your bass. They already up here. If you up here with them, then you out of your office. You done left your office and went up to their office. They don't need you in their office. They need you down here. Right? So you need to be down here so everybody else up here will have something to stand on. Wow. I never really thought about that. I just wanted a new bass. Yeah, I get it. Everybody wants a new bass. The issue is you got to look at why you got the new bass and why the new bass don't fit you on the first gig that you took it to, because you just got it today. And you want everybody and their mama to know you got a new bass. But your ears gonna tell you first. You got something new. You have to fulfill me first. I said fulfill me first. I said, where's Hootie? I said fulfill me first. Your ears gonna tell you first. You have to fulfill me first. You have to get me involved, and you have to make me go, okay, I'll go with that first. If you don't do your ears first, when you get on the gig, they're gonna be the first one to tell you, you sound like crazy, dude. Or ma'am, you sound crazy. you don't even sound good. you don't sound the same way. Your playing is different. And it's nothing wrong with your playing being different if it's comfortable to your ear. What are you saying? I'm saying the first person you have to satisfy is your ear. If you already had your ear in a certain area with the bass that you had, whatever you bring in, it could be better, but it has to be better in certain areas. What do you mean in certain areas? So it has to be cleaner, but it has to have that same thickness. What's the thickness? Smell. I use that word, thickness and smell, like the other one got. The other one just comes up and put a stink right on the floor as soon as they hit. You want the new one to do the same thing. Put a stink in there, put a little twist in it, but not enough that people say, oh man, that new bass. I see you got something new, man. It sounds different than the other. You never want to hear that, especially if their facial expression tells you, yeah, it sounds a little different than the other one, bruh. You want them to say, yeah, man, that's righteous right there, bro. I can hear the difference, but it's a good difference. All right. So I don't know. I just felt today that I needed to say that because a lot of people are buying a lot of basses and they're hitting a lot of places with new basses before they learn them. Learn the bass. If you got a bass that you've been playing all the time, once again, y'all, whatever you bring in, it has to be better. You know what I'm saying? But it has to have the same vibe as the old school bass that you had, or the bass you've been using. That's all. You got too many people around you that you have to take care of, and if you change something, you change them. All right, and that's what people don't even realize. Like, well, I didn't even know, man. I thought if I had a, I had a Ken Smith one. I've been playing a Ken Smith for all my life, bro. Okay, I get it. Now I went to MTD. Well, the MTD is much hi-fi. It's more and more hi-fi. So than a Smith. Smith been laying down beautiful, rich bottom. Not saying that the MTD can't do that, but the MTD is more aggressive, more top-end-ish. Now you don't change your whole vibe. Now you have to figure out, how can I stay within my old vibe that I had and bring the new bass in and give it a little bit more top end, but the same vibe. That means that you have to learn your instrument. I guess that's the whole thing. You can't just jump out there with anything on the first day. I did it many times. You can ask Andrew. Andrew Goucher. I got a bass from Andrew back in the day. I think it was a Yamaha TRB from Andrew. I think he got it from Rick Carter. And I took the bass and I had 3 days. Andrew sent it to me on a Wednesday. And that next Monday, I had to be in another city at a convention with Andrew. I didn't learn the bass. It was a 6-string. I didn't play 6, but I wanted it because Andrew had it, and Andrew sent it to me. I got it, and when I got to the gig, I was not ready. And here I am at a convention that I have to be at all week. I have a bass that's not me. I didn't learn it. I didn't sit down with it long enough to get the bass familiar with me on my ear and my hands. That's another thing. Basses are built differently, so you have to actually figure out if they fit your hand. And I didn't do that. And I took it to the convention, and I had to get Andrew to play it. I missed a lot of tunes. That means I missed money, and I would never do that again. But I love the bass. The bass was incredible. Yamaha TRB 6P. Beautiful bass. I still got one today. And I'm telling you, I love it. I love it. So, to make a long story short, guys, I didn't want to make this thing that long, but, people jump out and buy new stuff all the time, and they don't get familiar with it when they take it out. They always think about themselves. Bass players a lot of times think about themselves, and they don't think about who they affect when they take the new bass out, and especially when they don't know it, and then they fumbling on the gig. So once again, it could be the bass. It could make sure your bass connects with your old amp that you got right now, the head and the cab, or head and different cab, or make sure your strings are same strings you've been using. Make sure your setup is straight. Make sure your intonation is good on it. Make sure you have it in the house for a while before you take it out, and make sure you know your electronics, because your electronics is your lifeline. This is the voice that you throw to your head, from your head to your cab, and your cab throws back at you. You want it to be the same voice with a little tang on it. I said tang. You gotta have some tang on it. Got to have some tang on that thing. So that's how you do it. All right. So I just wanted to put that out there, folks. I don't know who it helped. I know it helped me a lot because I went through that stuff, and now I take my time, and I had so many bases in my hand that I can pretty much tell you what and what not. There's a lot of bases that's in the world that it don't fit me. They could be the greatest bases in the world. They don't fit me. And if they don't fit me, I'm not gonna bring it around my band. I'm not gonna do that because it hurts people. And it don't hurt them, it throws them off. So I don't want nobody to be thrown off. Especially me. Because I don't want to get it to sound like a craziness. Sound like I'm crazy. You got a new bass? Yeah, that's new, bro. Cause you sound like it's like that. So once again, guys, I appreciate you coming by, checking out my videos. I love you guys all my heart. Please keep praying for the Queen and I. And Hootie, I don't know where he is. I think he's on vacation again. He might be still in the Hobo Depot. Yeah, guys, and I hope something I said today was really, really cool. Okay? Shout out, folks! And I'm not in the Hobo Depot. If you get something new, you better learn it. That's all I gotta say. And take your time and learn it. Not one day.